Hi guys, thanks for tuning in to another episode of Nuggets News. Today, welcome a special guest, and that's Gordon Christian, head of Stacks Australia. We're going to be talking about this wonderful blossoming Bitcoin ecosystem. I've got it up on screen for those watching at home at the moment. This is something we've been doing a lot of research on lately. It's been bubbling along quietly in the background for a couple of years, but it really is coming to fruition now, isn't it, Gordon? But maybe before we dive into everything you're doing at Stacks Australia and what Stacks themselves have been up to lately, you've got a very interesting background in terms of the crypto space and all the great work you've been doing in Australia and so on. So do you want to, you've got the floor to introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks, Alex. Yeah, great to join you. Been a long-term supporter of the Nuggets News channel and in the members chat for a long time. So love the alpha that you keep punching out, particularly around the building on Bitcoin ecosystem at the moment. So really enjoying that narrative because that's what I've been immersed in for the last year. Felt a bit lonely out there for a while, but yeah, it's pretty cool. Yeah, so look, just a little bit of background. Joined up with Travel by Bit some years ago, and we did Australia's first digital currency town project in Agnes Water, Queensland. It was a lot of fun. Got a bit of adoption for Bitcoin back then, and yeah, that took me down a path of education for Bitcoin, and we created a foundation, a charitable trust for building projects for Bitcoin. That led to the development of the School of Bitcoin, and School of Bitcoin applied to Stacks for a grant, and yeah, we're awarded a grant to build the ecosystem for Stacks in Australia. So yeah, I took that job on. It's a big job, but having a lot of fun, and yeah, here to have a good chat with you guys today.
And how are those projects, I guess, going? If people are, is it developers you're mainly after? I'll put your contact details down in the description below. What sort of people are you looking to add at the moment?
Yeah, sure. So I guess whenever you're building an ecosystem, building a network, the main focus for us is for developers. So for Stacks, they have a smart contract language called Clarity. Clarity is a decidable language. It's a newer language than Solidity. So yeah, often deemed by the devs a little easier to learn. So our main focus is for developers. So we're recruiting 50. That's our target. We're going quite well at the present time. We've got it just under 20 developers have been through our training programs. But also work with founders. So we've got a pipeline for founders to come into the building on Bitcoin ecosystem. That's actually all the Bitcoin ecosystem, not just Stacks.
Yeah.
And yeah, right through to those that don't want to bootstrap themselves, that are looking for VC funding, so connecting them up with the right people. So yeah, it's a pretty interesting and yeah, vibrant role. Done a lot of learning over the last 12 months, but yeah, a lot of good fun.
Well, that's a good segue. As you said, not just building on stacks, there's a lot of different protocols now allowing for DeFi on top of Bitcoin. So, just quickly, people at home are probably familiar with the Lightning Network that we've spoken about a lot. Then you might not have heard of things that are quite centralized, like the Liquid federated sidechains, where it's just like the exchanges can send money quickly to each other and that type of thing. But it's more these other newer ones that are getting exciting, striving for more decentralization, more flexibility in terms of what they can do. Stacks is the main one that you're involved in, but we've covered a lot of these other ones. Interlay, Sovereign, Botanics is a new one that's launching that kind of thing. So, do you want to maybe talk briefly about Stacks' model and how some of them are different, and how this, I guess, relates to maybe the ideologies of Bitcoin layer twos versus ETH layer twos, and tie that all together?
Yeah, it's a great path to follow. It's sort of like the big four at the moment. So you've got Lightning Network. It's just really, I wouldn't say it's just only, but traditionally it's been just for payments between two parties in a layer two situation. So um, enabling fast transactions above the base layer. Then yeah, going over to Liquid. Liquid have got more of a corporate type federated model. So a group of chosen actors that are looking after your Bitcoin when you're using it on a smart contract layer. And yeah, over to Rootstock. Yeah, you've done some good posts about that in the past, so most of the members would know about that here. But that being a federated model, so we move over to Stacks, and Stacks is working towards creating a more decentralized holding of your Bitcoin. So basically, their goal is to have a one-to-one peg to Bitcoin that allows you to move in and out of Bitcoin with a genuinely decentralized and not in a non-custodial way. So the way that they do that, I'm not the tech guy, but it's basically a dynamically changing signer set. So it's not a fixed federation that's non-custodial, and with to minimize the risk of centralization.
Yep. Sure thing. Any differences that you wanted to mention there? Because I know like a lot of the ETH layer twos have copped criticism for being centralized, or having that points of weakness with only a few multi-sig keyholes and that type of thing. I guess the other side of that argument is you have to start somewhere with an idea and a team, and then further decentralized from that. So, is there any similarities or differences that you want to mention? I know Stacks has had upgrades recently, and a lot of these other Bitcoin ones are talking about being more decentralized in the future.
Yeah, the whole mechanism behind the trustless peg, it's covered in the sBTC white paper, and that's what it's going to be called for Stacks. Look, I'm not the technical guy per se. Like the last interview you did with the Botanics guys, had a lot more technical, in-depth knowledge. But the main ethos of Stacks is like Bitcoin. They are Bitcoiners. So the whole goal is to be as decentralized and trustless as possible.
Yeah.
And so that goes right through to every part of the applications that they're building. So on Stacks, they have a thing called SIPs, which are like BIPs. So everything that gets upgraded on the chain has to go through those. And similarly with the sBTC, it'll be as trustless as possible, where it's a moving set of signers, not relying on multi-sig wallets. It'll be actually it's a different model that they're using there.
Fantastic. Do you want to talk about some of these upgrades that we did see recently? I know you were saying that the Nakamoto upgrade reduced the blocks from being in line with Bitcoin every 10 minutes to every 5 seconds. And then I guess that writes to the Stacks blockchain, and then every 10 minutes it reports back to the Bitcoin base chain. Is that my understanding roughly correct there?
Yeah, so if we look at the evolution of Stacks over time, there was Stacks 1.0, then 2.0. The next upgrade for Stacks is the Nakamoto upgrade. So the Nakamoto upgrade won't happen till just before the halving.
Okay.
That will bring near 5 second transaction times. And the layer 2 transactions will have finality on Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And then following that, we'll go to the introduction of sBTC. So there'll be 2 stages of the development, like in the progress of the chain.
Fantastic. And the other thing we saw in the past 36 hours or so you mentioned was the STX20 standard. So people have started to maybe hear about BRC20 after we had all the Ethereum ERC20. But do you want to maybe talk briefly about the Stacks20 STX20 token standard?
Yeah, so it's pretty amazing. Everyone's building serious applications, serious DeFi applications. There's lots of VCs involved. There's lots of, I guess everyone's, a huge amount of developers involved in terms of upgrading the chain and getting ready for sBTC. And then out of the blue, you get a couple of devs get together. Well, starts out with a DGen that goes, hey, I want to do some inscriptions on Stacks, talk to a community manager. They pull in a dev, pull in a second dev. Next thing over the weekend, just like BRC20 tokens, someone spins up the STX20 protocol. Next thing it's launched, and we've seen 10,000 transactions in a block on Stacks, which I don't think anyone ever thought was possible. So all of a sudden, you can imagine over this last 4 days, Stacks is virtually, say 4 weeks ago, you could hardly find a Stacks Twitter space happening. Maybe one a day if you're lucky. Now it's like one every hour with the blow up. So yeah, all the degens are piled into Stacks at the moment. So yeah, a lot of fun. Everyone's been super busy all weekend. But yeah, it's going to be, it's evolving rapidly, and it's quite an easy system to use. I guess with an inscription on Bitcoin, you've got quite a high entry fee, and I guess that, after Ordinals came out, it went around the Solana community, on the Avalanche community. So inscriptions on those. Well, it's just landed on Stacks now. So creating a lot of fun for the Stacks community and bringing a lot of attention to Stacks this weekend.
Yeah, sometimes that short-term hype and that type of thing is still good, medium or longer term, because it does get eyeballs and people talking and these things trending on Twitter and whatever. So it gets some attention to these projects if they are actually doing good development and whatnot. For people that are just getting,
when you look at when you look at the teams behind these things, pretty long-term developers, they seriously know what they're doing. It's quite amazing how they can deploy things in a very short period of time. I'm sure there's going to be, things that need to be sorted out. There's always little errors, things that need to be corrected. So, but yeah, when a community grows from 0 to 5,000 in 48 hours, it's a lot to be done.
oh, I can imagine. For people that are maybe just wanting to dip their toe in the water, and this is maybe reminding them of when they first had to learn about MetaMask and Uniswap, what do you think are the preferred or most trusted wallets? That is it, the Hero Wallet, XDeFi, going to the Alex Lab website to swap tokens. Like, what do you think are maybe the easiest ones to use and the friendliest ones?
Yeah, sure. So the pathway into Stacks is pretty easy. You do have the first wallet that was created was Hyro. Xverse is another wallet. Both of these wallets, the developers behind this have jumped on very quickly with everything that's happening on Bitcoin. So when BRC20 tokens came out, when Ordinals came out, they quickly shipped, improvements, upgrades to their wallets. Yeah, so either the Xverse or the Hyro wallet would be your place to start. So you can hold Bitcoin, you can hold Stacks in those wallets, also your BRC20 tokens, also your ordinals. So everything for Bitcoin. We don't have Lightning in there as yet, but I think that's on the agenda. But they're the two wallets to connect in with. When you're
Fantastic.
just a couple of things about Stacks, the finality time for Stacks is the same as Bitcoin. So as it sits with before the Nakamoto upgrade, it is not normal for people to understand that you're going to have the same block times as Bitcoin. So a lot of people have become used to layer twos or fast on Ethereum or fast chains like Solana. So coming back over to the Bitcoin layers currently with Stacks, you do have to have your patience. So you're going to expect at least 10-minute block times.
Yeah, yeah. So again, for people at home, if you're trading if you're swapping some tokens or minting some tokens, or even just sending tokens on Stacks, if you click that button, then it's normal to have to wait 10-minute block times for confirmations and so on. So it's like when people first actually send Bitcoin on Bitcoin, and they're wondering why isn't it showing up to the exchange? It's been 40 minutes, but maybe it took 3 blocks to get in and that type of thing. So that's the slow process for now, but I'd still encourage you all to play around and use it. As I said, those 5-second block times are coming with the next upgrade on Stacks early next year, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, so the next interesting thing with Stacks that everyone would be, I think most people would be interested in, is that once you've got a wallet, you can then get some Stacks in your wallet and you can stack your Stacks. The unique thing about Stacks is that when you stack your Stacks, you actually get Bitcoin rewards. So the consensus mechanism for Stacks is that the miner mining Stacks spends Bitcoin. That Bitcoin then gets distributed to the stackers.
Who are
The
securing the
miners that
network, yeah.
spend the Bitcoin. Yeah, so the miners that spend the Stacks compete to mine the Stacks blocks, and they get paid in Stacks. So the miners get paid in Stacks, but the stackers get paid in Bitcoin. So if you want to stack more Bitcoin, and you want to also take the ride with a secondary chain, for whatever the reason, well, at least you know that your rewards are going to be coming across in Bitcoin.
And they paid in sBitcoin, like this, which for people at home is the Stacks version of wrapped Bitcoin. They paid in sBitcoin, aren't they, on the Stacks chain?
No, that's in pure Bitcoin, native Bitcoin.
They
Goes to
paid
your
in native
Bitcoin
Bitcoin.
wallet.
Okay,
Yep,
interesting.
native Bitcoin. Yep.
Beautiful.
Yep. So you just stack away your Stacks, get some Bitcoin, and it's super cool.
Awesome. Is there anything else that we haven't covered today you think's important for people to know about stacks, or just and you can share some thoughts on crypto in general if you like, where we're going, hopefully heading into this next bull market?
Yeah, I think with any, thanks, Alex. I think that with any new protocol, you're going to have the applications built on top. So with sBTC coming, there's a developer release that a lot of the devs are involved in at the moment. And you're going to see a number of new applications come through for DeFi for Bitcoin. At the present time, their goal is to really be a layer for payments for Bitcoin payments. So therefore for DeFi. So currently the main application for DeFi on Stacks is Alex.
Yeah.
And you can launch tokens there. There's liquidity pools and a bunch of stuff. But the incoming projects that we're seeing, we'll see if we can drop them in the chat. Bitflow Finance, Vela, Hematica, and UASU. So these are all brand new projects that are coming through, most coming through the Bitcoin Startup Lab. So the Bitcoin Startup Lab is a pre-accelerator that allows you to go in for 12 weeks to develop your idea, to really see if you've actually got the qualities of being a founder, and then putting you in a position to be able to pitch to go into a proper accelerator. So the interesting thing that I'm noticing there is that 1 year ago, I think there was about at the end of the program, you had the opportunity to pitch to, I think it was about half a dozen investors, and there was one accelerator to go into for building on Bitcoin. The last cohort that just finished, I think there was 30 or so funders and half a dozen accelerators to go into. And this time round, we're looking at 60 funders that are all sitting on the sidelines with capital to deploy in projects that are being built. And I think it's like 10, they're talking 10 accelerators. I noticed in the last couple of days that Draper has been out there. Tim Draper has been out there promoting, having a chat on a wall space. You'd see that Outlier Ventures are launching a Bitcoin accelerator in January. We work with so that's like pretty big news in my mind. Outlier Ventures has been actually absolute crack and built, shipping amazing developers through the 2017 period. So yeah, really interested to see how much is coming towards to be focused on Bitcoin.
Oh,
So yeah,
absolutely.
I think look out. You can join some of these projects. At the moment they're a bunch of test nets, so you can get some. You can go and play around with the test nets, and then obviously get as they go along, and tokens are rewarded, just like building out any other ecosystem. Users that go in and get in early just to help build the ecosystem, they'll get rewarded. So yeah, there's a few projects to watch there.
Yeah, likely with airdrops and that type of thing, as you say. But no, I'm going to keep saying it until my thesis changes. But yeah, it was a year or so ago when we did that write up about Bitcoin DeFi being a top theme for the next cycle because of the Taproot upgrade. And then in recent months, we've been talking about Stacks and Sovereign and Botanix, Alex Labs. And it is just crazy to see this all flourishing now and everyone else catching on. So super exciting. Yeah, I wish you guys all the best. I'll put some links down below to follow you and get involved or contact you if people do want to develop or the founders or whatnot. But any final thoughts, Gordon?
Yeah, Alex, that's awesome. So yeah, we are a building community. You can join Stacks Australia on Twitter. It's just Stacks Australia. Our Discord link is there. We are predominantly for builders, and we've also the leads for the Bitcoin Builders Association. So we've got meetups that happen in Brisbane, Sydney, and Melbourne. That's for all things Bitcoin. So anyone wants to join, you can be just a Bitcoin enthusiast. We're not Bitcoin only, we're Bitcoin everything. So yeah, everyone is welcome. So it doesn't matter what level you're at. Lots of these projects need all sorts of people, whether they're community builders, marketing people, graphics design people. A lot of the devs do heaps of cool stuff, but then they've got to be able to ship it. And creating something like a cool interface and growing the communities is super important. So everyone's welcome at those. Yeah, we'll have that link down in the bottom there. You can find your local meetup for that. They happen about every month. And yeah, really look forward to growing the ecosystem in Australia.
Fantastic stuff, mate. Good luck with everything, and we'll have to have you back on again in future. But really enjoyed the chat today.
Yeah, appreciate it, Alex. Thanks for your time today.
Thanks, guys. Cheers.